Sorry, very excitable, very excitable. Okay. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Behind the Seams, when we all have a look at what's been going on this week at the Great British Sewing Bee. And today I have again Alistair with us. So say hello, Alistair.
Hello, Alistair.
And we have Samantha Hamilton as well. Good morning.
Hi there, everybody.
Hello, darling. Now, just very quickly, if you didn't see last week's episode of Behind the Scenes, please, Alistair, can you just tell us very quickly a little bit about yourself?
Oh, about me?
Yes,
All right. So I'm Alistair, and I run House of Alistair, and I appear on Create and Craft TV, which most of you will have seen me through. And that's pretty much about it, really, I think.
And Samantha?
Well, I'm with you two guys. I'm with Create and Craft, supplying African wax fabrics, just bold prints. And I love it.
And this week was just for you, wasn't it? We'll come to that in a little bit.
Yeah. My favourite guy, you know, what's his name? Raphael. Yeah, with his African prints and excellent sewing as well.
Indeed. Well, this week I'm Sarah Payne, and I'm a regular sewing guest on Create and Craft as well. And what we're going to be doing is talking each week about the episode and our opinions on, you know, what we liked, what we thought worked, what we thought didn't work, and just sort of share with you our thoughts on it. So this week was episode 2, and it was summer week. So everybody got a little bit summery, didn't they? Well, the first of all, before we get started and we really get into this, I want to say thank you to everybody who joined us last week for the first episode of Behind the Scenes, and for all of the people who commented and got involved. We did have a little competition, didn't we, about who appreciated the garments of the week, etc., the challenges most, or who sort of did the best in your opinion. And we've actually got some poll results here. So we asked who liked Serena's shell top the most. We also asked who liked Andrew's t-shirt garment and Rafe's buffet dress. So the votes were tallied. You just needed to comment underneath. You need to put an emoji in. So Andrew's t-shirt got 2 votes. Serena's shell top got 14. And just ahead of that was a Rafe's buffet dress that got 16 votes, which I think was our favourite as well, wasn't it? But this week we have actually got even more excitement. We've got a proper competition, and you can win stuff. My goodness. So this week you can join in with us, leave your comments, and you can be in with the chance to win £100 to spend at Create and Craft. And you can spend that on, you know, sewing items. You could put it towards a sewing machine. You could buy your card crafting, whatever you want, you can put your £100 towards. So to be in with a chance of winning that £100, you need to like this post, comment your favourite part about the Sewing Bee episode this week that's just gone. To increase your chances of winning, tag a friend who just can't miss an episode of the Great British Sewing Bee. And the winner will be randomly chosen by us and announced in this episode next week. So it's definitely worth watching the videos, watching the episode, and, you know, being in with a chance of winning a little bit of crafty goodies. So anyway, let's crack on with talking about this week's episode. So first of all, we have the garment of the week. We have basically the 3 challenges. So let's start off with the first challenge. So the first challenge were the paper bag shorts. So Alistair, have you ever made a pair of paper bag shorts?
No, and nor shall I. No, but seriously, no. I have made them before. They are for a lady. They are a more flattering silhouette, especially with the slight ruffle at the front. However, Yeah, it's quite an interesting challenge, to say the least.
It was. There was a lot of quite technical bits, weren't there? There was the turning through, there was the doing the waistband. I don't think many people actually got the turn-ups done correctly, did they? And again, you know, our favourite Damien didn't read the pattern.
No, but he did say he was reading the pattern, but didn't read it fully. And I thought, well, you can't really anyway. But literally, there were so many aspects of that challenge that they could have made their lives so much easier. And for me, especially putting in the elastic, that was so painful to watch. It was, that part of it was just, the reason they were trying to pin, you were trying to pin all that gather internally, and there's such an easier way to do that. If you get a longer piece of elastic, and in one of the side seam parts, if you sew your band underneath and catch your pockets in first, you've got a much longer piece of elastic you need. Mark the elastic first, and then draw the elastic in, and then machine over it a few times, then cut it, and then you've brought all that gather in. It makes it so much easier to work. But all I saw was all these people like putting this tiny piece of elastic in and literally, you know, trying to fold under a centimetre seam allowance and sew it all the way around. And I thought, no wonder you're flapping, because the thing is that could have been a really simple part of it.
The thing is, what do you think would happen if they deviate from the pattern? Because obviously, I'm guessing the pattern told them to do it that way. Do you think that, you know, Esme...
I don't believe that the pattern told them to do it that way. I mean, a pattern's a pattern. It's there for a reason. And they just didn't follow the instructions again, clearly. And what Alistair has said is absolutely correct. That is the way to do it. Or the simplest way to do it could be, you know, catch all your pockets, you know, turn your M over, gather your elastic through as you normally would if you wanted to. And then, you know, you've got that beautiful belt as well to go through. So some of them got the belt right, didn't they? But then, my goodness, what was going on with the hem? Everybody could not do the M. Why weren't they reading their instructions? What's wrong with them?
I do wonder whether there's something sneaky in the patterns, because we don't actually see the patterns. I sometimes think, do they word it to be ambiguous, to test?
No, they don't. I don't agree. I believe you've got to read your pattern, read it till you're blue in the face, and then you kind of hypnotise yourself to understand that pattern, Sarah. You and I know that, and Alistair, you know.
Because I think one of the when you saw them working with the pattern, because this time they were actually showing you on camera them flicking through. Now they had pictorial representations and the written work, and you think, because I mean, you know, when you're writing a pattern or a project or a book or something like that, it's one of the hardest things to do is to explain things verbally in just words without giving a visual. But they had all of that, and you know, you should look at the stages in front, but also when you're cutting out your pattern, I mean, lots of them were cutting out on the actual floor, which that's a big no-no for me, because that just, your fabric everything goes all over the place. What you should use the floor for, because they're in a huge place, so they don't get muddled up, lay your pattern out, once you've cut it all out, in sequence of where things actually go, and then systematically take it in time to go, okay, right, so I'm going to sew the pocket up. One thing I thought, if it was a construction where was all the finishing in the inside? It was all the seams were raw. I mean, if that was to be judged as a garment that somebody was actually going to wear and take, I thought, my goodness, all the seams are raw inside. I don't understand why. I mean, an overlocker would have been a really quick and easy finish for that piece.
Do you think, Alistair, they would have had time to probably do a French seam as well, or not?
I'm on the fence with that one, Sam, because there's a huge I think there's a huge spectrum of people's abilities, And I think when you mention the word French seam, I'm not sure a lot of them would even know what a French seam possibly would be.
Let me ask this. I know Sarah's got to ask questions, but I'm confused. What is their ability? They all say that they sew. They all say that they use patterns at home. They all say that they can dressmake. And Rebecca decided she was going to chop her hem off, didn't she, to put it back up again?
Oh,
and
yeah.
That wouldn't even have occurred to me, to chop the hem off. Unpicking, if you've been dressmaking or quilting like I do, unpicking is second nature. Your stitch ripper is your best friend, and we all know how to unpick quickly.
Yes.
But to actually use your seam ripper properly, because often people go in and they just do this and they unpick it. You've actually got that little red bobble underneath so that you can put your seam ripper inside your seams and go like that without tearing your fabric. And you're right, Samantha, they should know that.
They should. I'm really confused. I was baffled. I was thinking a school kid could do better. I'm sorry. You know, they all seem like they just all seem like they've never done it before, and just freaking out with the simplest things, really.
I think as well, in that heightened environment, with the time constraints, you can see sometimes the panic that rises. But then we had Jean, who, when they said, have you done pockets before? She went, yeah, I've done pockets loads of times. And she completely lost the plot. And she ended up with pockets like this big. I think she came last in the challenge.
I think she did, yes.
I was like, I do pockets.
And can you remember the name? I can't remember the beautiful girl, the Asian lady that won one of the challenges. She had one pocket to the left and one facing the other way.
Yes, is that Adina who won Garment of the Week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, how do you do that?
Also, you see, I'm a big fan, and this may be a little controversial, but I'm a big fan of a bit of fabric glue. I use a fabric glue pen for basting also. So I would actually have just put a few dabs on the top of the pocket and stuck that pocket line down so I knew that it wasn't going to move.
The thing is, the easiest way, and especially when it comes to next week, I'll be looking out for the fact that when they're setting in, if anyone attempts a jacket and they're setting in sleeves, the best thing to do when you're actually doing anything is use a needle and thread and use a basting stitch.
Yes.
Because the thing is that is far better than pins, because a pin, if you like, is a metal object that goes in, that is rigid. So your fabric naturally concaves over the thing, so it will distort anything. When you use a thread, it lies really, really flat, and it means that if you've placed something wrong or you need a bit of extra ease in one place, you can cut the basting, open that section up, and then you can rejig it, and you use your fingers and your thumb, and you use your thumb to draw in the fabric around it, and you can just quite easily do that. I mean, what did you think, everyone? And now this bit, this is the fundamental thing. Now, the bow that went round, my God, has anybody ever pulled an item through or clipped a corner? It's not that. Forget the shorts and the hem. Most of them were strong. I mean, they were whipping the chairs with it, and I was thinking that's not going to work.
Yeah, they just forgot the horse, didn't they? I wonder who came first.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah. It was just. And the thing is, you know, we've made little ties for dresses, and you're turning through something like this, and they just made such a dog's dinner of it. It was
very entertaining.
It was. Now, yes. with that, Jean came last, and Rafe came first. And actually, I did like his shorts very much. What did you think, Samantha, of his fabric choice?
Do you know what I liked? He really made the effort to match up the pattern. I mean, with African fabric, that's fabric, you don't always have to match the pattern up because it's so, you know, all over the place. I mean, look what I'm wearing. I mean, this is matched, but you don't have to. And he did a fabulous job. But wasn't there somebody else as well that had used African waxed fabric as well? And I can't remember. Is it Fair?
Farry later on with her finished dress. So we'll come to that in a little bit.
All right. Okay.
I did actually, when I saw the fabric, that he'd chosen, that Rafe had chosen, I did think of you, obviously, because that's your area of expertise.
Yes.
But I think he made the perfect choice because you needed that stiffness, didn't you, to give the shorts the structure. And I thought they were really rather good.
You know that he's my favourite because he's not a sewist. He claims not to sew, and look what he's producing. I know he's made a few mistakes, but I'm really hoping he's going to be my guy, my winner.
Yeah.
Because I think he's fantastic. You know, to say that he doesn't have much experience.
Well, should we go on to the second challenge very quickly, which is the transformation challenge? Now,
Do we have to?
Sorry.
What a mess.
I said, do we have to, really?
Yeah, let's not spend too much, because I think this one, sometimes I wonder what it's actually trying to achieve, because you would never do something like that. You would never take 3 pairs of shorts and make them into a dress, would you? You might hack up a T-shirt and make it into something, or you might take an old dress and make it into something else. And most of these were a complete disaster. But I have to say, the winner I've got down here, it was Adam with the stripy top. And for me, it was a dress, but it had the stripy top on it. And for me, I did agree that was the best, but not for the reasons that they said. I thought it was the best because of the way he placed those stripes. So he had a stripe coming here and one that was offset slightly. And I thought that gave sort of a beautiful shape. And Serena, again, had that lovely blue dress, which I thought was eminently wearable. And you wouldn't look at that and think it was put together.
And Jean was messy, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Messy.
Like, the patterns didn't go, the fabrics didn't go. But what did you think? Because Adina came third on this one, and they really liked it with the addition of the ribbon. I'm afraid to say I didn't agree with the third.
If I'm honest, I'm going to be completely honest. I wasn't impressed with anybody other than the person that won. Complete mess, and I remember something was falling apart. I wasn't put together right.
Yep.
Can you remember the name? I can't remember the name.
Oh no, I wrote it down for the other one. Loretto.
Loretto. Yeah. Or is it Loretto? Yes. With the sort of bit of red that just sort of.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what was going on there. What was going on? It looked like a train crash.
I think it's very rare, going back through the series, the previous series, to find anything that you would actually want to wear in those transformation challenges that you wouldn't put in the dressing up box for next time. But
Sarah.
Yeah, it's like you wouldn't be able to get it on for a start because bits would fall off it. But you know what's really good about this? Sorry for interrupting. What's really good about this with the Create and Craft, customers that are watching, it's to give them some confidence that they are really good sewers compared to what's on TV. They don't have to worry, do they? No, and I think perhaps that challenge as well is about imagination. Maybe that's perhaps what they're trying to show, that somebody isn't just a sewer. They're a designer too, maybe.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head. But the thing is, there's some designers that can't pattern cut. They have no concept. For instance, like Armani, he describes what he wants. So, and then he has a team of people around. Then you have people like Sonia Raquel, who famously only ever drapes in black fabric. Don't ask me why, but she feels that draping in black makes her feel slimmer, but that's a different program. But it's just one of these sorts of things. It's just that this is a sewing competition. It's about your sewing. It's not necessarily about your design acronym, because that's not what it is. It's not finding the next fashion designer. That's not what this program's about. It's about competency in sewing. And I just think that, for instance, some of the tasks you're given, 3.5 hours. Now that, relatively, yes, a lot of that can go on, but there's a lot to be said about time management, and also the fact that people have been able to for instance, like the final piece, they're allowed to practice that at home. Now,
Yes.
some of them are on it, but then others are completely and utterly, you know, just it just looks as if this is the first time they've ever pulled out the tissue pattern.
Yeah, they've not read the pattern.
Well, it's like the first time they've ever made that dress or what have you. I mean, if you do a prototype in it, you can then simplify it to your own needs, and then your time management becomes quicker, because every designer or every pattern cutter, you will develop a pattern which, you know, commercial patterns for me, I'm not a big fan of, because they give the home sewer hundreds of steps that you can sort of cut a lot of half of them out and do it in a different order, which actually production wise it actually brings it a lot quicker. But that's only because I've been in the fashion industry and working with factories and things like that I've gained all of that knowledge. But it's just when you look at it, you just think, wow, you know, you're giving people so many steps to do. I think simplifying it, but they've had time to practice.
That's an interesting point, because it does seem sometimes that they've just read the back of the packet, bought the fabric. See, me, I would have made that 3 or 4 times. I would have bought double the amount of fabric. I'd have made it from beginning to end in that fabric, so I understood how it worked, how it draped, the bits where I would fit it to me, and then I would be aware of, you know, with the model, what needs to come in, what needs to be adjusted, you know, so that you're ready for that when the occasion comes. But that takes us quite neatly on to the third challenge, which obviously gives us garment of the week. And it was to make the button-down dress. Okay, so again,
Adam was amazing.
Yes, oh, completely. I thought Adam was underrated in this one, because that is a dress that I would wear. That is so in my wheelhouse.
And I actually thought about you. I thought about you. I'm not quite sure.
I love a polka dot.
I wasn't sure about the big red buttons though, Sarah.
Yeah, I was kind of torn with it. I'd have gone with the smaller red buttons, because even though they said they were the same size as the polka dots, I would have said that was the point. But I liked the red piping, because I've got him. Where did he come? I'm having to look at my very long list. But he didn't come up as high as I would personally have put him. Or
I would have chosen him
as much.
Yeah, I would have chosen him as first, but I suppose they chose the other.
Adina. Yeah,
because she self-drafted her pattern, did she, or something?
Yes, she
did.
But
I wasn't really impressed.
They really liked the visible buttonhole, which I didn't like. Personally, I would have left that out, because if the top is supposed to flap down like that, then you wouldn't button it up there, and just distracted from that lovely shape.
Yeah.
And to be honest, and I never liked dissing anybody else's work, but I didn't think the fit was all that great. I mean, Loratu, going into that last episode, because the last challenge, she came quite far down, and she made that sexy mustard-coloured dress, which
I thought was beautiful.
There was a little bit of a gape at the front, but I just thought that that one and Adam were my 2 favourites out of that challenge.
What do you think,
Alistair?
Well, I'm going to put the cat among the pigeons a little bit here, because I actually did like the dress that won. And the reason for it is that there was a lot of people who chose a ruched bodice, which would have hidden any sort of, that was a clever choice of pattern, because fitting round a bust area, that can be quite tricky, because when you start to take in from over the bust area and over the bust point, it can alter what happens under the armhole, and it means you need to we call it clearing or clearing out, and you have to then push the fabric which is ruffling, and you have to put that in, and that's quite a technical thing to be able to do, to clear it. I mean, you do that with guys' suit jackets on the back. You'll notice that sometimes next time everyone's at a wedding, just look at the shoulders and the back of guys' necks where the collar sits, and if you see that sort of like little bump and ruffle, what that means is that fabric needs to be pushed up into the collar because it's excess fabric, and then the collar needs to be reset. But I think the simplicity of hers was so, in my opinion, it was so striking. There was only about 3 or 4 buttons that went down, and I thought it was very, very clean. It fell off the body. Everybody else's was ultra fitted. I did like was it Laratu's with the mustard and the coconut buttons? Now I thought, yes, that was very, very sexy. But all I put next to that was Betty Boop, because all the judges were going against was the fact that they wanted to see perfectly aligned buttons and buttonholes.
Can I just say something? What did you think of Damien's handmade coconut buttons? Coconut shell buttons, I think they were.
Yeah, I thought they were clever.
Yeah.
And I liked his dress as well. But again, he had one that wasn't fitted. But I love the fabric and I love the buttons. I thought ingenuity. And they didn't actually mention that, I don't think, when they did the judging, that he'd made his own buttons.
I think his placement, I will give it, because obviously last week I wasn't a fan of him very much. But I think that his final make, in actual fact, was executed beautifully. The actual matching at the front for such a big and bold print, especially with very, very, very minute and small pieces. The only criticism I would have had of that dress, when you're doing something that has a tail that comes at the back where it's cut off at the front, where the back is visible, I would have made the hem a real pin hem, or I would have put a bigger color blocked border to make it a feature. Or I would have lined it fully and then used the lining to actually create the hem, and then I would have tucked it up inside, and then and it would have been held in the waist. But that's the only thing I would say about that particular style and cut. But
Adina's dress with the pin tucks, when she was sewing the pin tucks, I was just going, what? I was just looking at them going, why are you spoiling that? Because of, like you said, Alistair, with the simplicity of it, and then just putting those, it didn't work. It didn't work for me, and it wasn't my favourite dress out of the 3. I have to say, for me, it was Adam, and then Laratu. I thought those were
that is where I am with that. But I guess she had to come back with some kind of winning situation, because she was going, you know. Can you remember who never ever finishes? Because I think she's going to be out next.
Barry, but she never completes. Yeah, she made that again, an African print. She had that beautiful African print with the high collar that just came down like that. And I thought it was beautiful. And I think if she'd have finished that, again, she could have been up there, because the colour choice, it suited her model, and I just thought it was lovely.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the problem when you're in that situation, especially because the dress that won could be said as it was very plain, so you had a lot of big bold prints, you had very colourful things, and when you look at what you've decided to bring, sometimes you think, oh, mine's a bit plain. You need to stick with your conviction, and sometimes something that's beautifully made. The other thing that I got a bit confused about last week was the fact that they were using the models. Now, they have the dummies at their disposal.
Yes.
Before you put it on the actual body, the actual physical body, put it on the dummy, do some tweaks and fitting there, then put it on the actual person. Don't try and amalgamate both. It start with one, get that fit right first. But then we saw people who they had taken the basic garment, and then there was they were literally pinning it in. Now, fitted doesn't mean tight. That's a misconception. For something that's it should just elegantly skim the body. It should just be beautiful. It shouldn't be, unless it's a stretch fabric and that's the look you're going for, like a Herve dress or something like that, like a bandeau dress where it's got to cling to every bit of your body. you don't want it that tight, especially when you've got a massive placket going down the front. If your buttons are too far apart, you are going to, in any movement, because people don't just stand still, you know, you're going to have movement, and the bigger there is and the tighter it is, it's going to come open.
Well, I say it again, Alistair, you should be on there, shouldn't you? On Sewing Bee. But I just wonder, do they not get any form of advice? I mean, you know, I hear you well, and I hear what you're saying, and you're absolutely right with everything you're saying, but I've got to ask again, how much sewing do they actually know? You know, in terms of their skill levels and everything else. But you know what? We wouldn't have a programme. I said that last week, I'm saying it again. We would not have a programme if they didn't have all these problems. If everything was perfect, you know, and with your advice and with everybody listening as well, which is good, we're going to learn, you know.
Indeed.
We're certainly not going to learn from what we're seeing at the minute. We're learning how not to do something, not to do something for sure.
But then they do settle in a little bit. So let's very quickly say, who did you agree? Well, I think we've pretty much covered whether we agree about garment of the week. So for me, actually, garment of the week was Adam's polka dot dress. What about you, Samantha?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I loved it. I loved what he did. I'm going to be honest with you. He seems very dreamy and scatty and all over the place, but then he really does bring it. He's a dark horse, you know.
Yeah, he won the transformation challenge when he just went, I can't believe it. It's just 3 pairs of shorts, isn't it?
he is a dark horse. So, interesting.
Alistair, what was your favourite garment this week?
Well, this week I actually have several.
Okay.
Well, because the thing is, there were elements in lots of different people's one, and I think there was actually quite a few contenders for the winner. I do agree with the dress that what in my opinion it was. I didn't like Andrew's. I thought that that blast back to the you know, Dior's new look.
Old lady, wasn't it?
Well, I think it was supposed
wedding.
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be Dior's new look, but it just there was too much. There was no fit in the top. It wasn't nipped in at the waist and then dramatically flared out. It just, for me, it didn't. And it was all the accessories with the hat and everything. I mean, it'd been thought out, but I think if they'd taken the hat off and things like that, and he'd just concentrated on the actual fit, then it would have been. But I really liked. Well, one person we haven't mentioned is the fact that Samantha's favourite, her toy boy, Raphael, literally, I really did like, because it's touching back on what Sarah said last week about whether or not, you know, his textile background, like in terms of what he does with fabric. I liked the fact that he had dyed the fabric, but I think what we're seeing now, especially with not the first challenge, but the invention challenge, and then the second one, it kind of lost. It was a nice visual look, but it kind of lost it a little bit for me.
Fit.
Yeah, but also
only because he's not. He needs more technology, doesn't he? He needs to know more about.
Well, he's only learnt to sew during lockdown, so you know
exactly.
That takes us on nicely then to our predictions from last week and whether they've changed. So if I just very quickly go through our predictions, who we said last week, which were sort of the 3 of the week. So I had Serena, Raf and Adam. Alistair, you had Adam, Andrew and Raf, and Sam, you had Raf, Serena and Rebecca. So let's start with you, Alistair. Who are yours going forward? Have you changed your mind? Or?
I have. There's one that still is in there for me, just at the moment, because I've actually changed it a little bit around. So Adam is still in there.
Yep.
However, I've got 2 new people, but that may change next week. Probably will. So I like Tadina. And also, which I never thought I would ever say because of his sheer atrocities towards the word fringe,
Yes, I
But
know.
Damien, in fact, I think they should ban him from the haberdashery store because he's just like, bish bash bosh, put a bit of this in. You all right, geez? Right? It's just it just fringe. Somebody should have a word with him about that. But I thought his end garment, but in the invention challenge, putting that massive, great big pocket right on the chest, it was like, that was quite a statement.
So we've got Damien,
Adina and Adam for me.
in what order? Because, we're going to bring this up next week.
Oh, God, you're ramping it up now.
Yeah, no
I
pressure.
thought we'd only had to choose 3. I'm gonna say I think that Adina, because of the confidence that she now has from episode 2, and obviously getting a win, I think she will chill out a little bit more. Yeah. I'm then going to go with Adam because he has more of a creative eye than, say, Damien does, purely based on the invention challenges that we've seen so far. And then I would put Damien 3rd for me.
Okay, brilliant. So Samantha, what's yours?
It's changed.
Okay, so last time we had Rafe, Serena and Rebecca.
I'm going to say Serena, I'm going to say Adam, I'm going to say Raphael. Serena, because she is, I don't want to use, oh God, I feel like saying the word sly, but that's not a nice word. It's not really, but she's in it, well, everybody's in it to win it, but she's definitely in it to win it. And you pointed out, actually, you weren't sure because she's young and whatever, but I think she does her homework. I think she does her homework and I think she studies hard, and you can tell that she does because she likes to get things precise.
But then the dress, the fit, I didn't think the fit on her floral dress on the last garment was really good, because last week I had Serena, Rafe and Adam. This time I picked 2 and I'm really struggling for the 3rd one. And I think we're going to agree with you, Alistair, on the 3rd one. So on my list, I've got Adam because I just loved his last garment. And, he also did pretty well on the transformation. And that was, at that top, I could actually see becoming, dump the bottom bit of the dress, but the top I could actually see somebody wearing that. Then I've got Serena. I'm trying to read my notes here. I've got Serena because, again, the fit wasn't brilliant, which is why she's not first anymore. But I think she's got a lot about her. And then again, Damien, who last week I just thought, oh, he's not reading the patterns. Oh. And then we had the first 2 challenges. And again, he didn't read the pattern properly. But hopefully he's learning. But I really liked that last dress. I really liked the pattern.
Can I just say something? Does any of them read the pattern properly? Think about it. And the only reason why I say Serena, because I think she's going to go away, do her homework and come back and surprise us, to be honest.
Fantastic. Well, there we go. That's who we really liked this week. So next week we're on to the gentlemen's challenges. So this is this is going to be, I'm assuming it looks like it, quite tailored. So Alistair will be drawing a lot on your expertise again next week about the projects.
I think I'm busy next week. I don't know I'm here, but actually I just have to check. No, sorry, no. Are we done? Okay. We didn't talk about who went out.
No, we didn't. Yes. We still have to do this. This is why I have so many notes. Yes.
Poor Jean.
I did feel for Jean. I thought she was very sweet, but she was out of her depth this week. She just had, from the first challenge when she did her pockets wrong, which she knows how to do pockets, everything just went. So we're agreed on Jean, aren't we? I think Farah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, she saved herself with her last outfit, even though she didn't finish it. She really does have to finish a pattern challenge because, like you said, she should practice.
She may be out by next week, dear.
Yes. So finally, we've got to wrap it up now. Just to remind everybody, there is a competition this week where you can win £100 worth of vouchers to spend with Create and Craft. And you can use that. Oh, my goodness, you can get yourself a lot of thread and all sorts of goodies with that from Create and Craft. So to enter, all you have to do is like this post and comment your favourite bit about the sewing bee, and also, you know, the favourite bit about this, because I think, you know, you need to give Alistair some love or he's not coming back next week. And to increase your chances of winning, tag in a friend who loves sewing bee as much as we do. And then we will choose and announce the winner next week. So as I said, we'll be back here next week after the third episode with the I want to call it Gentleman's Relish episode. We'll have some nice, we'll have some male models, which is always fun to look at from my point of view. And some really nice tailoring, I hope. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how Damien fares when he's really got to follow a decent pattern.
Well, tailoring, as Alistair will say, it is very precise, very sharp, it's very challenging. I mean, my goodness, like I say, isn't it, Alistair? I mean, gosh, they could have put it in the 4th or the 5th week, but this is the 3rd week they're going to do tailoring.
Let's weed out the weaknesses.
More skillful sewing compared to dressmaking in a way.
They're a completely different skill set.
Yeah.
Completely and utterly. For instance, the difference between menswear and women's wear, very briefly, because I know that we're on that. The difference between men's and women's wear. Women's wear, you can be far more flamboyant and you can try new silhouettes, new shapes. You can try a different shaped sleeve. Menswear doesn't really deviate, but what menswear does, it's all about the details. Because I was going on about, you know, the finish of the garments inside, when you were seeing them trying them on and there was no overlock and there was no finishing. Sam, you mentioned about, you know, the French seaming and the pockets and stuff like that. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how they actually finish, because it's a very different beast when you're starting to do tailoring. And again, like the dress that won, this skimming of the surfaces. And it's also about, for instance, with tailoring, for instance, on Savile Row, if you go in and have a suit made, it's like Mr. Ben's, it is like Mr. Ben. You walk into the shop, they take a set of measurements. You can either be down right or down left, which just means one shoulder slopes down. You might have a slight hunch in your back. You might bend forward a bit. You might come back. Your torso might concurve. The tailor takes all those measurements, and it's the tailor who actually does the making that transforms you into a completely symmetrical being. So the suit jacket that you put on is it's built up, it's taken into account. The way that the garment's cut can transform shapes completely. So it'd be really interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, a disaster.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, just thank you again, Alistair, for joining with myself and Samantha and having a chat. I hope you guys are enjoying watching our little gossipy sessions, and will join us again next week. Make sure you comment, make sure you like, and be in with a chance of winning that £100. And we will be here next week picking Alistair's brains. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.